Dear brothers and sisters, we are now in the 6th week of the Great Lent, and it's actually the last week because the following week will be the Passion Week. So the Great Lent itself will finish, and then we have another 6 days of strict fasting, which is preparing us for the resurrection. Those 6 days of fasting is actually the Pascha of Passion. Okay, it's not just the preparation for the Pascha of Resurrection. Then we will celebrate the Pascha of Resurrection. Okay, so now we are in this last week of the Great Lent. We are getting ready for the entrance of the Lord to Jerusalem. Okay, this will be the beginning of the Passion Week, this coming Sunday. And on this week I want to share with you my recent thoughts about Christian life. There are two things which the Lord is expecting us the most. Okay, we sometimes don't really understand what is He willing, what is He expecting from me. So that becomes like believing in Jesus, but not changing anything about how I live, what I do. Yes, just going to church every Sunday or every, I don't know how often, or praying at home, but basically nothing changes. And this is the big problem, the big issue that we have. Because if our faith doesn't change anything about our life, then we don't have faith. Okay? So what are the two things the Lord wants us to do to actually have our life be pleasing to Him? These are the spiritual life, which is asceticism, fasting and prayer, and the second one is mission, because He told His disciples that you will be my witnesses to this world, and He called all of them apostles. So we see that all of the disciples of Christ, they became apostles. At the time, we didn't have any other types of saints. Okay, we didn't have saints, the blessed, or martyrs in the sense of dying. No, but all of them, they became apostles, and some apostles, of course, became martyrs. And even martyr is an apostle because he's doing testimony. Okay, the word martyr means to witness. Okay, he is witnessing his love for Christ and his faith in resurrection by sacrificing his life. So this gives us a very important concept of becoming a missionary, everyone. And not just by saying things, but by our life, by sharing what we have inside. And to have Christ inside, we need asceticism, we need fasting. So it all comes together. And today I want to share just one thing about fasting, because I've talked about it a lot before. Fasting, even the scientists now, they've discovered that eating, when you want to eat, it's not because you are lacking some nutrients. It's because of addiction that we have. That the connection between me willing to eat something is related to addiction that I have for food, for eating now and this much and this kind of food. This is not brought by Christians or by not even by psychologists, but by biologists, by those who study the biology of nutrition, what processes are going on in your body. And they said, okay, they say, you can search that, that this is the reason, okay? They've studied the relationship between fasting and exercise, okay? And they've found out that people who are doing exercise and they want to eat more, this doesn't come from the need for nutrients, okay? This comes from their addiction to food, okay? There is this interaction inside the human body, okay? When we have different things going on, okay? I cannot explain everything in scientific language because I'm not a scientist, okay? But you can search for that and you'll find that this is the primary reason why we want to eat and why we have this, okay, now I want to eat. It's not coming because, okay, I'm hungry because I am lacking nutrients. No, that's a mistake. That's a common sense, but it's a mistake. It's coming from, okay, I have this desire, okay, I have this addiction to eat so much and to eat this and that and that much often. So what does it tell us? It tells us it's not pleasing to accept, I know, to say, oh, I'm addicted. This is like alcoholism or drugs, okay? And people don't want to admit to themselves that they have any kind of addiction, especially if they're not drug addicts or any other, sick stuff. So, but all of us, we have some form of addiction to food. Okay, so this is why fasting, this basic idea of fasting, is limiting our desire to, limiting our addiction, our us following what the body tells you. Okay, it could be also psychological, of course, and even spiritual. So if someone cannot fast, cannot do any fasting, even small, this means that he will not be able to fight with passions, he will not be able to change his life to follow Christ. So nothing, he cannot do anything in terms of faith. His faith is going to be dead, no matter what he believes. So this is something to think about. We are learning to constrain, to control our desires, to overcome our addictions, and through this we will also learn how to exert the will of power to follow Christ. In the gospel, the Lord is saying that the kingdom of heaven is taken by force, and those who exert the force, they will seize it, they will grasp it. Okay, very powerful language. If we just leave it like that, okay, I just live. Yes, I believe. I sometimes go to church, but I cannot. The fasting is not for me. No, sorry. Kingdom of heaven is not for you. Also, okay. We just have to be honest to ourselves. Okay. So this is something I wanted to share about fasting. But the main topic that I want to say to share with you today is mission. Okay. And let us look not only into gospel and into Bible, we can also look into some documents or some stuff that's coming from the opposite side, okay, from those who serve Mammon and devil. And I also sometimes read stuff which is coming from there, okay, okay, which can help us understand better what's going on, okay. How do those people perceive Christians and faith and Jesus? So recently I was looking through some stuff on Freemasons. And those articles are like more than 100 years old. And I've also read Lenin, okay, one of his works. And I can share with you those people who serve Satan. It's clear that they are slaves of Mammon. What do they say? They're tools of devil, okay? Okay, I don't want to talk about Masons today, okay? Because Masons 100 years ago and Masons nowadays is also, there is a big difference, okay? But let's look at those Masons like 100, 150 years ago, okay? Their goal was to destroy church, to make Christian societies secular, to either promote this consumerism, this power of capital, or to promote materialism and socialism and other utopia. It was all against Christianity. Okay, their common enemy was Christian faith. So what do they say? And their goal was ultimately, and still is actually, just now, you know, Masons now, they don't talk that much about their ideology, okay? So it's not as evident. But in those days, it was quite clear that their goal is to build a kingdom of Antichrist. This system, world order, that will have prosperity for those who are chosen, for the enlightened ones, and it will be prosperity without cross, without Christ. It will be another God, and that God is Satan. Okay, that will be the source of everything. So they are basically Satanists. Okay, and most of them, they don't even conceal that. So they say in their works that their greatest enemy is a missionary, is a Christian missionary. And they have to do everything to prevent Christian missionaries go anywhere, to those places which are not yet evangelized, such as Asia, Oceania, and Africa. They have to, okay, they say we have to do everything to stop that, okay? And they also are afraid of any initiatives taken, so they can predict what's gonna happen with like masses, with those people who have like the behaviorism, who are motivated by some material stuff, by income and by other things, who are afraid of economic conditions. But if someone has faith in Jesus and has trust in the true Lord, he will have this freedom and initiative, and he will bring this to others. he will share this to others, and for them this is like a threat, the biggest threat. And the same thing we actually see with the socialists and with Marx, because he is so much against Christianity. It's because for him all his theories about this dialectic progress of humanity from capitalism to imperialism to socialism, communism, all these things, no matter where you are on this spectrum, it works only if everybody is subject to this kind of decision making. Gain a material benefit, bright future, or collectivism or other stuff like, but it cannot have trust in Jesus as element of the equation, okay? Because everything just breaks apart. All his theories, all his utopia is gonna fail. So we can see from Marx, socialism, from Masons, from anyone, from Lenin, that they hate the church and they hate Christianity for one reason, because it's the biggest obstacle. It's actually the only obstacle, the only real obstacle to their building of the world of Antichrist. Okay, so and it's not a coincidence. The biggest threat for the devil is the most important priority for Christ, and that's why he made all his disciples apostles and he sent them to preach. So here we can see eventually why there will be at some point kingdom of Antichrist. It will happen because the faith of those who serve Satan will be stronger than the faith of those who serve Christ. Because if we just believe and we don't do anything, there is no power, there is no there is no output, there is no fruit of our faith, and then it's dead. And there is no point in having such Christians. So it's just cut out. Okay, the tree which doesn't bring fruit is cut out and thrown into the oven. And this is what's gonna happen when eventually the Lord will allow Antichrist to rule this world. Not for long, but still that's gonna happen. And we can see that in times of Lenin. Why those crazy Bolsheviks? Why they took power and they have done so much harm? They killed so many tens of millions of people, and they were building their utopian regime that succeeded because they believed so much in what they were doing, in these ideas which are coming from Satan. So they were crazy, they were obsessed by those ideas, and they went everywhere. They became revolutionaries. They blew up things, they killed people, they destroyed everything. They have this trust in what they do makes sense. They will reach the goal, they will succeed. They had this crazy trust in Satanism, okay, and they succeeded. The Lord allowed them. Okay, you're so strong in your beliefs. Okay, try it. So and that was a great pain for the church and for all the Christians. But that was also something that we need to learn, that the faith of the Christians, of course, we don't use the same methods as they do. But if our faith would be stronger, then much more people would become Orthodox. And it's a big mistake to think that well, what can I do? What can I change? Okay, if people don't come to church, what can I do? We can do a lot. We can see it from the example of Soviet Union. In the Soviet Union, the government stopped any mission activity, and everybody became atheists. And as soon as this was lifted, there was at least a little bit of ability to say about your faith. Many people became Orthodox. Not all, minority, but still a lot compared to Soviet times. And this doesn't mean that during those Soviet times, population, people were worse than later, after Gorbachev. No, they actually were much better. But still they became atheists. And what that means? That means that when we share faith, a lot of people are gonna come. There is a nice example. Just recently, one priest that shared with me. They have a parish, and in Russia, and a lot of people are coming just to light a candle and they go. Okay. And there is one guy who is like a little bit crazy. And that guy, he's not afraid of anything, and he just comes to those newcomers, those who just bypass the church. He comes to them and says, "Come here and go to confess." He is pulling them to the priest. They say, "Whoa, what's going on?" But he is not afraid. He doesn't have any barriers. He just goes and just pulls them. He's like a crazy guy. He really has some mental problems. But maybe it's coming from the Lord. We don't know. And actually, from doing that, a lot of them, they remain in the church, and they gain faith, and they become stable parishioners. So this is an interesting example. Okay. Which means that don't just expect people to just come themselves and just become faithful themselves. Very often we have to go out, do the outreach, and talk to people about faith. And to be able to do that, you have to have Christ inside your heart. And for that, you'll need asceticism, fasting, prayer, and spiritual life. So these things are all related. Let us ask the Lord to make our faith alive, to give us this eagerness, this vision how I can do it, and make everything we do, be it a job, be it house work, be it icon painting, chanting in the church, whatever we do, church-wise, house-wise, work-wise, be subject to mission and spirituality, fasting and prayer. It has to be related. It cannot be just one world and then on Sundays I go to church. No, it has to be all tied up into one thing, because only spiritual life and mission will give purpose to everything else that we do. May the Lord help us, give us mission, give us motivation to do mission and this calling, and help us on this path to make our life pleasing to Him, to fulfill our calling as Christians. May the Lord be with you and give you His blessing during these holy days of the great land. Amen. God bless.